make this tankini top is take a few measurements, and so you can be clear on what we're measuring, I wrap this string around the areas where we want to be measured, and our model today is Maris, but for some reason she doesn't want to be on camera, so she's not on camera. We want to measure above the bust, we want to measure the bust line, we want to measure under the bust, the smallest part of your waist, and where we want the tankini to stop. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. And when you're at home, you're going to need someone to help you do this, because some of these measurements you're not going to be able to do yourself. And marking it off with the string exactly where it needs to go will help that other person to help you. So first we're going to measure, oh, your arm up, under the bust, and it's going to go all the way around just like this string did. I'm sorry, over the bust, not under. And we're going to mark that. And I will have a chart on the website. If you click right here, you will click that link right there. You will get to the chart. That'll help you fill this out. It's a nice and neat chart. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to measure over the bust line, just like you would when you're measuring for a bra when you get your bra fitting. And Maris is 36. And then the next thing you're going to do is measure directly under the bust. And Maris is 30. Next thing you're going to do is measure the smallest part. Put your arms back down. You're going to measure the smallest part of your waist, and that's usually a little bit above the belly button, and some people that is actually on their belly button. And Maris has 28. And then you're going to measure where you want it to stop, and I have that on the chart as the fashion waist. And Maris's fashion waist is 33. Now these are the first set of measurements. Now you have to measure the distance between, and we're going to call this the top bust to the bust. We need to measure, and Maris's is 5. And then we need to measure from the bust to the under bust, and you're going to turn this way, right there. You're going to start at the bust to the under bust, and you're going to go around the bust and make sure you get to the right spot. And Maris's is 4.5. And then we're going to go from the, oh, that moved. Make sure it's, yeah, that's 4.5. Actually, no, it's not 4.5. It's 3.5. It's important that we get these numbers right. And then we're going to go from the under bust to the natural waist, which is 3 inches. And then we're going to go from the natural waist to the fashion waist, which is 5 inches. And now we have to take another measurement. And the second set of measurements we're going to take, when you're taking measurements, I'm going to advise to wear a shirt that's like this, like Maris has on, because you want the side seams. And the reason why we want the side seams is so we can take the front measurements. And it's very important to take the front measurements, because when you take the front measurements, you're making this custom to you, as opposed as to taking the measurements and dividing them by 2, because your back is actually going to be smaller during the bust line, and the front will be bigger on the bust line. And that would be, and on the hip, your back would be bigger, and then the front will be smaller. So we're going to take the front measurements, and the way we're going to do that is from side seam to side seam. So you're going to go back, raise your arms up again, back where you originally measured, and go from side seam to side seam. And her front measurement, top bust front measurement, was 17. And her bust measurement from side seam to side seam is 20. And her under bust side seam to side seam is 15. Her natural waist side seam to side seam is 14 and a half. Her fashion waist side seam to side seam is 17. And Maris is a casual wear size 6, and she is a high fashion size 10. So if you want to follow along with our measurements, you can, but I suggest that you make your personal measurements just in case, because you know, even though she's the sizes, she's not going to be exactly like your sizes. So now that we have these measurements, we can go ahead and go to the next step, which is a lot of bit of math, and then we're going to make the pattern, and then we'll go ahead and get to making the actual outfit. Oh, one more measurement I forgot to take. For those of us who are endowed a lot in the bust area, you may want to put a strap around for extra support, and you're going to start from the top bust, take your tape measure all the way around to where you want it to sit on your neck, and you take that measurement, and ours is looks like 19 inches. So our strap is going to be 19 inches if we're going to make it go around the neck. If you want to make a strap from a shoulder strap, you're going to go from the front bust right here all the way around to where it meets in the back. And ours is 14 and a half if we were going to be making shoulder straps. Okay, what did I say this one was? 20?
19.
19? Okay. Okay, now let's get to the next step. We'll be right back. Okay, in order to do this pattern, we have to do a bit of math first. We're going to figure out we know the top, the entire circumference of the top bust is 33. And what we want to do is we want to find the back measurement. So we're going to subtract the front bust, the front measurement from that, which is 17. And then after we do this, we got to take some inches out because it's a swimsuit. The swimsuit is supposed to be tight. So 33 minus 17 is 16. So the front is 17, the back is 16. And we're going to do that with every number that goes across. Nothing, the up and down measurements we're going to leave the same. The measurements going across is the ones that we have to figure out. So the bust equals 36 minus the front, which is 36 minus 20 is 16. So the back is 16. Front, back. And on your chart, you will have a section for the entire number, the front number, and the back number. And you're going to fill that chart out all the way down. So under bust equals 30 minus 15 equals 15. So the front and the back. And the natural waist equals, oh, you can't see that on camera. Natural waist is 20. We have 14.5 there, but I'm not going to use 14.5. Oh, we're going to do 28 minus the front, which is 14.5. We're just going to go with 14. And it really doesn't matter that we use 14 over 14.5. And you're going to see why in a minute when we go to the next step, which is 14. So front is 14, back is 14. And then we're going to go ahead and go to the fashion waist, which is 33 minus the front, which is 17. And the answer to that is 16. So the front is 17 and the back is 16. Now when you wear a swimsuit, it needs to be tight. Now these measurements are exact measurements, but we actually, when you make a swimsuit or a tank top, swimsuit or a tankini, you actually make them smaller than your actual measurements. And that smaller size depends on the type of fabric you have. The more stretchy it is, the more inches you take out. And the average is between 2 and, this is called negative ease, and the average negative ease is 2 to 5 inches. And I know that my fabric, what I want to do is take 2 inches off the front and 2 inches off the back. Your fabric, how much negative ease you want to take out depends on how much stretch is in it. The more stretch is in it, the more inches you're going to take out. So what I would suggest, since I don't exactly know how much fabric, the type of fabric you have, is to take out however many you think it is, pin it together, try it on, and if it's not tight enough, go ahead and take out a few more inches. We're going to take out 2 from the front and the back. So our total measurements for the front, the top bust, the front was originally 17, so we're going to change that to 15. And the back was originally 16, so we're going to change that to 14. That's the top bust. And then the next number is going to be the bust. And our original front was 20, and we're going to change that to 18. And the original back was 16, we're going to change that to 14. And for the under bust, the original front was 15, and we're going to change that to 13. And the original back was also 15, so we're going to change that one to 13 as well. And the natural waist, the front was 14. We're going to change that to 12. And the back was 14, and we're going to change that to 12. And the fashion waist, the original front was 17. We're going to change that to 15, and the original back was 16. We're going to change that to 14. Okay, so these are the final numbers that we're going to use right here. The ones where we took out the 2 inches. Now once again, you are going to probably, if you don't know what kind of fabric you have, you're probably going to have to take, I would start out with taking out maybe 1 inch or 2 inches. And then I would pin it together. And if it needs to be tighter, go ahead and take out a few more. Now I'm not even going to put a seam allowance on this. These are the exact numbers I'm going to cut, but I'm going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So really I took 3 inches out because I'm going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So these are our numbers, and then your numbers going up and down, your top, let me put that up here, your top bust to bust number was 5, and we're going to leave that the same. All of the numbers going up and down, you leave the same. All of the numbers going across like this, you take out the negative ease. And when you sew with your fabric, you make sure that the stretch goes across, the maximum stretch goes across the body, and then the minimum stretch goes up and down, because you know swimsuit fabric stretches both ways, but there's usually a maximum stretch that stretches more, and that's what goes across the body. Now we're going to go ahead and make the pattern, and we'll get to the sewing. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and this is the actual fabric that we're going to use. Let me see if I can zoom into it so you guys can see how it looks. This is the actual fabric that we're going to use for making the tank top, the tankini, and this is a stretch fabric. It's 4-way stretch, and if you would like this fabric, we have it available in the TashaSewingTutorials.com tutorial shop, and we appreciate it if you would go there and pick up a yard or two, or make a donation so we can keep the free tutorials free. Now we're going to go ahead and make the pattern. This is some paper I taped together because I ran out of pattern paper, and this is what I'm going to make the pattern on. This line right here is my center line, and we're going to start with the top measurements, from the top to bottom measurements, and then we'll do the across measurements. So for right now, I'm just going to put a line at the top, maybe about 1 inch away from the top. It really doesn't matter. That's just my guideline right there. So now the first measurement we're going to make is from the top of the bust, which is what this guideline is going to be considered as, down to the bust area, and that measurement was 5 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and put a mark right there, and I'm going to drag a line all the way through. And the next will be from the bust to the under bust, which is 3.5 inches. So this will be the top bust. This will be the bust. And now we're going to go to the under bust, which is 3.5 inches from the bust. Make a dot. Make sure you make a straight line across. And that would be the under bust. And let me zoom in some more because it doesn't look too good on the camera. And we're going to go from the under bust, move my paper up some, to the natural waist. And the under bust to the natural waist was 3 inches. So we're going to make a dot, bring a line across, and this is going to make you have a top that is custom to your actual size. And this is the natural waist. And we're going to go from the natural waist all the way down to the fashion waist, which is where we want the bottom of the tankini to stop, and that is 5 inches. And I'm going to pull a line all the way through there, and then we're going to mark it as a fashion waist. Okay, now since we're making the front, this is the front of the pattern, what we're going to do is plot out the numbers for the measurements for the front and not the back. And we're going to only make half a pattern because we're going to put this center line is actually our fold line. So we're only making half of the pattern. So these numbers that we got, we're going to cut them in half. The easiest way to do that is to take your measurement and your tape measure. And our top bust measurement was 15. I'm going to take the front of my tape measure, I'm going to put it at the 15, fold it in half, and see what that half measurement was, which is 7.5. And that's what I'm going to plot here. So that would be, or you can take out your calculator and figure it out if you would like, or you can do mental math, whatever way you want to do it. So, but that's the easiest way. So I'm going to plot a dot here for 7.5. That is our top bust measurement. And our bust measurement was 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So this bust measurement, we're going to mark a dot 9 inches away from the center. And we're going to take our we're going to take our French curve. Well, actually, you don't have to use a French curve if you don't want to. You can use a regular ruler. And we're going to connect those two lines. That's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to just connect the lines first, and then we will mark the curves in the end. So you're going to connect those two lines just like that. And then the next number will be to mark the under bust. The under bust was 13. So half of 13 will be 6.5. So we're going to mark 6.5 right here. And now we're just going to connect the dots. And it's going to come out like a boxy shape at first. And that's what we're going to use our French curve for, to fix these boxy shapes. But we're going to go ahead and do this first. And then we're going to go from the under bust to the natural waist. And the natural waist was 12. And half of 12 is 6. So I'm going to mark a 6. And then connect the lines. It's that simple, guys. This is really simple to make this pattern. And then from the natural waist, we're going to go to the fashion waist, which was 15. And half of that would be 7.5. So I'm going to mark that. And I'm going to connect the lines. And now you should have something that looks like this. Let me see if I can zoom out and get the entire pattern on the screen. There we go. Now you should have something that looks like this. Oh, I'm not having very good light in here today. I apologize for that, but there it is. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mark these curves so it can look more like an actual pattern for a shirt instead, or a top, instead of this boxy thing, because you know people aren't boxy, we have curves. So let's go ahead and fix that next. Now we're going to go ahead and mark the curves. I have my French curve here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this curvy part right here, the angles, make sure both sides touch the line. I want one part of the, let me zoom in some. I want one part of the ruler to touch one line and the other part of the ruler to touch the other line, just like this. And I'm going to mark the curve. It's that simple. That's my new curve right there. And then you're going to blend the lines together. And then you're going to do that on all of your curves. Let me zoom back out. And then after you fix your curves, you're ready to cut the pattern out. Well, actually, we're going to go ahead and do the other side. That curve I'm going to leave. That curve I'm going to fix. That line I'm going to fix. It's just a slight curve right there. And now this right here, the bottom, you don't want that bottom part right there to stick out like this. We want it to gradually, softly curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to bring it up a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put a dot right here for 1/2 inch. I'm going to take my curve and I'm going to put a gentle curve and blend it right into the line that's already there. So there we have it, right there. And what we do to compensate for that is we lower the center line a ½ inch. And now we blend that with the French curve as well, right into the line that's already there. Just like this. Well, I have to get it, I'm doing it upside down. So we blend it just like this. And now we have an actual top that curves with our body. And then we're going to do the same thing at the top. Right here, we're going to actually lower this line ¼ inch. So I'm going, well actually, no, I'm going to lower it ¾ inch. And then blend it in with the existing line, just like we did right here, down there. And now we have our pattern. That is the front. And now we're going to go ahead and create the back. I'm going to bring my paper over. Since I already have my marks for all the up and down measurements right here, all I have to do is come over here and pull them the other way. And I'm going to do that right quick. That is the top bust. This is the bust. This is the under bust. And this is the natural waist. And this is the fashion waist. Now when you do it like this, you are guaranteed to have all of your measurements matched because you're just pulling them over from this side over to this side. Now we're going to go ahead and mark the measurements, the across measurements for the back. Let me write on here back. And we want the stretch, maximum stretch, to go this way. And we want the minimum stretch to go this way. I'm going to write that as well. Okay, now, yeah, that's good. Now we're going to go ahead and mark the cross measurements for the back. Now my back measurements across from the back was 14. Of course, we're doing a half of a pattern, so we're only going to be marking 7 here. So from the center line across for the top, I'm marking 7. There's my dot. And for the bust, it was also 14 for the back. So I'm marking another 7. And we're going to connect the dots, which should be a straight line. And then from the under bust, from the center bust to the under bust, it was 13. This one, the under bust, is 13, and half of 13 is 6.5. So I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to connect the lines. And the natural waist, the back was 12, and half of 12 is 6. So I'm going to mark that. Connect my dots. And the half of the fashion waist was 14. Half of that is 7. So I'm going to mark that and connect my dots. And just like we did on the other side, we're going to make that curve like it's supposed to. We're going to raise this up 1/2 inch. And now we're going to use our French curve to connect it, and we're going to lower this 1/2 inch as well. And I already have it lowered on this side, so all I have to do is get my French curve and connect it, and there we have it. And I'm going to do the same thing for the top as I did on the other side. I'm going to lower it 3/4 of an inch. And use my French curve to make it blend in. And now I have a pattern. So this is the back. This is the front. Now we're ready to cut. So I'm going to cut the pattern out, and then we'll be ready to start sewing. I'll be right back. Okay, now I have the patterns cut out. And what we want to do now is called true up the patterns. We want to make sure that the top, the bottom seams will go together, and then these seams on the sides will go together. And the way you do that is basically you take the one side, the pattern, put it on top of the other, and they should true up just nicely because we act on the center front, because we made them on the same line, and they do. Now these, the back and the front should not match. The front should be a little bit bigger, so what you're going to do is come over here a little bit and see if it lines up, and it does. And then the top, let's see if those two top curves line up, and they do. If they did not line up, what you should have done is take out your ruler and make sure they line up, but ours do, so we can go ahead and go on to the next part of the making the pattern, making the swimsuit top. We're just going to cut it out and sew it up. We'll be right back.